you look at the Customado bump, the Kenny Weldon shuffle, or the Lomachenko shuffle, what we're really looking at is footwork that totally defies and is antithetical to the nature of proper and sound boxing fundamentals. But what makes it so effective is that it's just sound kinetically in terms of kinetic energy. This skipping one foot into the other to load up an attack going forward or to move back defensively. Now, of course, you don't want to do this exclusively. There are times when you just want to step, where you just want a rhythm, either left or right, forward or backward, where you just want to feint and just stay light on your feet, when you want to just kind of stalk and stay heavy on your feet. So this kind of shuffle step, I mean, there are fighters like Dominic Cruz use it almost exclusively, but you'd almost be like, it would be a really unique style to always shuffle, to always be using a shuffle, simply because you're off balance. In that one split second where one foot is skipping into the other, during that one split second, you're off balance, whereas in a traditional boxing stance and step, you're not off balance, your feet are planted. So that's the caveat. That's what you gotta be careful for, is that one split second. So what I like to do is I like to incorporate it in sparring when you already have contact with the opponent, or using it as a jab to set up the hook, or using it as a cross to set up a rear hook or rear uppercut. Most importantly, my head is getting offline. I'm using it as a defensive tool, not just to load up the kinetic energy, but to move my head offline, to move my entire body in an angle out of position, not circling, but kind of cutting an angle from where the opponent is coming in toward me, whether it's forward or slightly backward on the left or the right. Exact same mechanics that martial arts or boxing uses, but we're incorporating that little Kenny Weldon bump, that little head motion into the skip step. And you can see that little bounciness in the skip step creates that kind of kinetic energy, that bounce, which leads to that positioning, the defense turning into the offense. And since I don't have an opponent in front of me that I can't touch and reference, in order to use that Lomachenko shuffle, I'm throwing a lot of slip jabs, a lot of slip twos, a lot of shots in there to set up the shuffle step, as opposed to just doing it out of nowhere and trying to set up these kind of long-range power punches. Do it when you're really in close, or, you know, some people used to call it the shake, but really it's a bump or it's a skip step. But you can do that kind of shake, as they call it, or that little skip step when you're way outside and or way inside. It can be dangerous if you try to do it, mid-range, unless you're somebody like Dominic Cruz who wants to make their whole style off that skipping, which I don't suggest. It just becomes too predictable. So there it is, guys. Lomachenko shuffle. Make sure you're touching the opponent on the shoulder before you set it up on either side, or use it to set up shots and make sure you get your head offline, like the classic jab, skip step, hook, or cross, skip step, hook, or uppercut.